All right, it is 10:24. I've had two trades with NWBO, two very similar setups. First of all, take note of this previous day high in 120. We had like a little open right here. Not ideal because it had a previous close at $1 and then we were up on a gap up. So that always makes things a little sketchy. But I did take an interest at 940. I bought 200 shares at 118. So I got in right here. And why was that? Well, we had an uptrend that broke past the previous day high of 120, sold off, had a wick here, and then now we were trading under VWAP, and then we were trading also back and forth between 16 and 17, 11, not 11, wow, 116, 117, and it was showing a lot of support at 116, but I wasn't going to take a buy unless it looked like we were going to break past 117. They had a lot of hidden sellers. And then once we were actually doing it, that's when I was in at 940, and it was also breaking above VWAP. So now it was not just like something where it breaks past the previous day high, downtrends a little bit, and now it starts to break a resistance level and it can try to regain itself above it, like a confirmed breakout, but it's also a VWAP breakout, and then ideally now VWAP is going to stay under and it keeps uptrending. As you can see, it didn't really do that much right here. I did get out at 942 at and 943 actually. My last piece was at 119. So yeah, I didn't really make much in this setup because it didn't just continue to follow the uptrend. The only thing I should have done better was that I don't mind selling half of my position at 942 because it wasn't looking that nice. But at 943, it was still above the trend line. It should have sold immediately the next candle at 944 once it broke past it, even though, it would have been more dangerous. Maybe I would have lost money in that sense because it did do a drop to 117. If it just, had a little break right here and then it continues to follow the trend line and uptrend, I would have been missing out on a really nice uptrend. So that would have been bad. And then it did eventually break 120 right here, but not the best way. Kind of hard to have traded this one. It went from 120 to the high 120s. It didn't really uptrend that much more. Then we had the sell off right here, and I was watching it, and I like this one. I like how it had the sell off, and then it tried to get above it, right? Try to get past it and everything, and then it drops one more time, but it holds this level, so it doesn't go to where the trend line is, but instead it breaks past it, uptrends a little bit, sells off, and then it holds like a new level officially. In this case, of course, not officially until many minutes later when it's confirmed, but it looks like it's going to no longer follow the trend line anymore. I did buy a little bit more shares because it seemed like I was a bit undersized. 250 shares at 113, and that was at 10:15 when it was looking like it was trying to take out the big bidders at 112, but then they just got stronger, and then it was a lot of people hitting the ask. So it looked like in theory, a reversal setup. So I got in for that reason at 113. And this was a little riskier, sure, because I got in before it broke this 114 level, while in this one I waited for this one to break that 117 level. But it was just something in the price action that I saw that made it seem like it was going to try to turn around. And then I did get out in pieces. I sold 50 shares at 115, and I was at 1017 right here. Just in case it breaks past this level of 114 just a little bit, and then it just sells off and it doesn't really work that much. And then I sold 100 shares at 1018 right here at 115. So yeah, and 1017 actually was my sell right here at 15.5. So yeah, again, thinking just that maybe it won't break above this 116 level. I think it's also a significant point, over a longer period of time. Yeah, you can see it was like the top roughly around this level right here. So it was a pretty important level to break past, and it didn't have to break above it. Then it continued to uptrend more, and I still had 100 shares left, and I saw that at 18.5 at 1023 right here at 18.5. So I was out. And why did I sell here? This thing can't obviously continue the uptrend, but I got out because it reached my goal, which is VWAP, and that's just how I like to trade it. I also was kind of quick on getting some partial sells very early, very close to my entry, just because of the fact that the trading this week kind of sucked, and I missed out on a bunch of setups, so I felt like I was maybe still in a jaded position, so I should be quick with my sales. But yeah, I'll make an update as to what this one does later. I didn't wait for this trend line that I made to break because again, I got to my goal of VWAP. So that's the case with that. And this could also be an inverse head and shoulders, a shoulder, and then this is a head, and I traded the head, which is a bit riskier because it could always just fail and then continue to downtrend and make the head some other place. And maybe it'll uptrend and then offer another shoulder setup. So if it makes like a higher low that looks nice off of this level, this could be an inverse head and shoulders a trade on a stock that's been up. Kind of weird, but definitely up over the past few days with decent volume. There is a lot of sellers at the ask throughout this entire stock on the upside, downside. There's always a lot of sellers, maybe because of this big red day right here. That's pretty much it for right now. Nothing really interesting. I guess WLAN is trying to break 131, which would be impressive. It already did, but maybe it can do like a very solid dip after it's broken this level. And then a reversal setup could be in. Nothing really interesting with this one unless it breaks 170, which could happen, excuse me. Nothing with this one, trades with no volume. This one I can't really trade unless it's on Schwab. And then this one really worked out. This one did something similar to what I was thinking about. Oh, was it this one? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, this one did the thing where, I had to sell off, found a bottom, and then I was watching for it to break past a penny again. But this one just traded with a really wide spread and it was ugly. But this was another setup that I was looking at. That's pretty much it for right now. I'll make an update later. And in theory, I'd probably be out of this setup. Even if I held, I would have probably made a new trend line by now. And it would have broken it. So yeah, one trade with, actually no, two trades with NWBO and definitely a lack of sleep. I'll make an update later. Alright, it is 12:54 a.m. and I am here to call it off. Overall, I'm gonna be up on the day, or I guess the previous day, 11 bucks and 25 cents, and that was two trades with NWBO. Two very similar setups. The only issue mainly is that I did not have enough shares. I just really calculated my dollar risk level pretty off. I considered that the worst case, each of these setups could have failed, panicked, broken the day low, and it could have gone as low as 94. So right here, when I was getting in right at 118, the first setup, once we were breaking past 117, I thought, maybe it just blips a little, and then it breaks 116, and then we have like this flashing panic price action, especially where it is on top of the fact that it had a gap up, and then it could, worst case scenario, be at 94 with slippage if I'm not able to get out and it panics with a wide spread and everything. So I thought that was the case, but I just did not have the right amount of shares because it ended up being a $52 risk level. I did try to trade more shares on the second setup, thinking that, it might make up the difference, but no, it just really maintained itself because I ended up trading NWBO at a lower price. And yeah, I looked at my previous trades with NWBO, and this one that I traded here, I traded 500 shares. And if I put 500 shares here, right, seems like I could have been actually really profitable today. And yeah, I just did not have the right amount of shares, unfortunately. That's too bad, but at least I tried the setup and that went well. So just really unlucky. Ideally, I can have the right amount of shares and the setup works. Both of those things, not the right amount of shares and the setup doesn't work, or the setup works and, I want to try to do better in that sense, but that's fine. It never really did an inverse head and shoulders, the thing I was talking about. I guess you could call it here or here, but this wasn't really something that I considered to be clean, so I never traded it. And there wasn't really anything else with the other stocks that are on the watch list here. Just nothing really that interesting, not the best volume, but yeah, CRTD could do something where maybe on Monday it breaks or even has a gap up and it's above this 170 level and it has a morning spike. That might be a setup for Monday. And nothing with here. And yeah, that was pretty much it. Just two trades with NWBO. I could have had more shares, and I think the trading for that part was good, but definitely need to calculate my dollar risk level and not just assume because it was the right amount of shares for another setup, another stock like CRTD, which is a bit more expensive. I have to take into consideration, what it is and try to trade accordingly with that in mind. That's it for today.